Hello friends, my name is Lily and welcome to my channel. I read 5 new books in October. I have only one of them with me today because they were all from the library. Firstly, I read The Night Circus. I didn't actually read this one, I listened to it on audiobook. I've become really picky about the audiobooks that I listen to because sometimes they just kind of dumb it down, but this was a really good one. The guy who voiced it did a really good job, and he just seemed like the perfect person to be telling this story. It kind of sounded like Gandalf or Dumbledore was reading me a book. It's about this traveling circus. Everything seems relatively normal on the surface, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes that none of the attendees know about. So there's a lot of mystery and a lot of magic. It's really, really cool. I was really surprised at the quality of this book and the artistry of the writing. I read a book that was similar to The Night Circus a few months ago, and it was called Caraval, and that one is for young adults. The Night Circus and Caraval are very similar, but I think each one is definitely geared toward a different audience. They each have their own charms, but I think The Night Circus is definitely the more well-written and sophisticated and thought-provoking one, but I really enjoyed Caraval too. I was gonna do a whole video on this. I might still do it. I think it's worth reading, and it's really fun to talk about. I feel like I didn't explain that very well. It's kind of complicated. Oh, don't read the premise of the book. If you can, go into the book blindly, because that's what I did, and then I went back and read the premise to see what it said, and it gives away like so much, and I couldn't believe that they put that stuff in the premise. So if you can manage it, don't read the premise. Just go for it. The second book that I read in October was The Rose and the Dagger, which is the sequel to The Wrath and the Dawn. And there's a third book, which I only just found out yesterday. Each time I've gone into a book in this series, I've thought it was the last one. I thought the first one was a standalone. I ended up liking the second one a lot better than the first. This one was on audiobook as well. I've liked listening to them on audiobook. It helps with the pronunciation because they're an Aladdin retelling, but it's not Aladdin. It's some old fairy tale that Aladdin was based off of. They're a derivative of that. So it's set in some Middle Eastern land and there's magic. It's really interesting. It's a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. From the premise, it seems like a Beauty and the Beast style romance, which it is. It's a lot more than that, and the writing is really cool. There's just a lot to it. So still without giving any spoilers, I want to read my Goodreads review for this book. It'll give you an idea of what you're in for. Every now and then I write a really good Goodreads review. This happens to be one of them. It still makes me laugh when I read it. Don't worry, it's not bad, it's just comical. The writing is so very thoughtful, and the world so very magical. I love the main character. She's feisty and can talk her way out of anything. I have my critiques for these books, of course. For instance, I feel like every moment is drawn out. What should be a brief conversation is a talk, pause, contemplate, step forward, step backward, sit down, take his hand, let go of his hand, put hand on head, reply situation. And I find it weird how everyone only operates in extremes. Either it's the most radiant mountain in all of the land, or it's a horrifying monster obstructing their path with steadfast certainty. There is never an in-between. Is it just the narrator, whose vocal patterns I was able to predict with great accuracy after 11 hours, or was it the writing? The world may never know. It's really dramatic, but I can't call it cheesy because it's not. If you've read these, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I just think they're really interesting. The third book I read was Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton, and I've already done a book talk on this. It's a Western historical fiction set in the 1800s in America during a war, and it's about this guy who makes a bet and he has to go on an expedition over into the West, and I mean like the old West, and he goes with the professor of paleontology at his school. So it's about like dinosaurs, finding dinosaur bones. If you want to know more, check out the book talk. The fourth book I read was Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. This is a funny story, because when I was reading it, I thought it was a prequel to the Wonder Woman movie that just came out. Or not a prequel, an origin story. But after further examination, I have learned that the book is an origin story just as much as the movie is an origin story. So they don't overlap. So that's kind of weird because it's like reading an alternate universe Wonder Woman story. But I thought that one was really fun too. I really like Leigh Bardugo's writing. This was my third book of hers. She's very entertaining. So yeah, I thought it was really fun and it definitely got me excited to watch the Wonder Woman movie. And again, if you want to know more, book talk. It had its ups and downs, and in the end I did only give it like 3 stars, but I did have a lot of fun reading it. The fifth and final book that I read this month was Lillys Crossing. Yes, I did just read this because it has my name on it. I've been doing that lately whenever I get the chance. It's just kind of fun. And it's funny because I notice a lot of similarities between us, and it's not just the name, like literally there are many similarities, and I'm starting to wonder if all Lillys are this way. Because I even read a different Lilly book, and we were similar. So this book was pretty cute. It's very short. It's pretty much just about Lilly being herself. So there's not a lot of plot. She has her friends, and they kind of just do whatever they want. They go on adventures. You sort of just follow Lilly around, and it kind of just gives you an idea of what everyday life was like back then. It was also fairly emotional because everyone has someone fighting in the war. It wasn't my favorite book, but it was pretty good. I think that'll be all. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what your favorite book was that you read in October. Thanks for watching, and you'll see me soon. Goodbye!